State regulation of insurers. Regulation of insurance companies, Secs. 15 to 204, 208A, 1, 211A, 14 to 403, 412A, 1, 18 to 105, 18 to 106B, 6 to 103, 15 to 201 2, 15 to 911, 18 to 108, 18 to 110, 27 to 304, Comar Secs. 31.12.01.04, 31.14.01.04A, 1A. Forms. Individual health insurance policy forms in Maryland must contain certain provisions. Age limit. If a policy contains a provision stating that the policy will expire when the insured reaches a certain age, and that age limit occurs during a period for which the insurer has already accepted a premium, or accepts a premium after that date, the policy will remain in effect for that period. The policy may only be canceled at the end of the period for which the premium was accepted. Dependent child age limit. A health insurance policy generally insures only one individual. However, upon application by an adult member of a family, a policy may insure, either originally or through amendment, the applicant who is the policyholder, two or more eligible family members of the policyholder. Eligible members include a spouse, dependent children, any other child under a specified age, but not to exceed 18 years old, any individual dependent upon the policyholder, any individual related to and residing in the policyholder's household. Misstatement of age. If a policy's coverage is based on a misstated age, but that coverage would not be in effect or would have ceased prior to the acceptance of a premium if the correct age had been stated, then the insurer's liability is limited to a refund, upon the insured's request, of all premiums paid for the period not covered by the policy. Time limit on certain defenses. After a health insurance policy has been in effect for 2 years, the insurer can void the policy or deny a claim only on the basis of fraudulent misstatement in the application. Notice of claim. A claimant must give written notice of a claim to the insurer within 20 days after a loss or as soon thereafter as reasonably possible. Long-term care insurance policy forms. Long-term care policy forms in Maryland have specific requirements regarding the provision of LTC care. Each LTC applicant must receive an outline of coverage that describes the principal benefits and coverage provided by the policy. If the LTC insurance policy provides benefits for home health care services, it may not limit or exclude benefits by requiring that the insured would need care in a nursing facility if home health care services were not provided, requiring the insured to first or simultaneously receive nursing or therapeutic services at home or in a community setting prior to receiving home care services, limiting eligible services provided by RNs or LPNs, requiring that services covered by the policy be provided by a nurse or therapist when those services could be provided by a qualified home care aide or other licensed or certified home care worker, requiring that the insured have an acute condition, or limiting benefits to services provided by Medicare certified agencies or providers. If LTC benefits are included in an LTC insurance policy or rider, a policy summary must be provided when the policy is delivered. The policy summary must include information required to be included in the outline of coverage, an explanation of how the LTC benefits interact with other components of the life insurance policy, including deductions from death benefits, an illustration of the amount of benefits, length of benefit, and guaranteed lifetime benefits, if any, for each covered individual, and any exclusions, reductions, or limitations on LTC benefits. If applicable to the type of policy, the policy summary must also include a disclosure of the effects of exercising other rights under the policy, a disclosure of guarantees related to LTC costs or insurance charges, and current and projected maximum lifetime benefits. Individual LTC insurance policies must contain a renewability provision on the first page of the policy form. It must clearly state that the coverage is guaranteed renewable or non-cancelable. Rates. The Commissioner reviews the premium rates set by insurers to ensure that they are not excessive, inadequate, or unfairly discriminatory. The Commissioner also establishes standards and practices for insurers to follow when setting rates. Tax rates are also established for premiums, 0% for annuity premiums and 2% for all other premiums. Medicare supplement policies. The Commissioner must adopt reasonable regulations to establish minimum standards for loss ratios of Medicare supplement policies. These minimum standards for loss ratios are based on incurred claims experience and earned premiums in accordance with accepted actuarial principles and practices and NAIC standards. To demonstrate compliance with the applicable minimum loss ratio standards for Medicare supplement policies, each carrier that provides Medicare supplement policies in Maryland must file rates, the rating schedule, and supporting documentation annually with the Commissioner. If the standards are not met, the carrier may be required to adjust rates or give refunds to Medicare supplement policyholders. Unfair claims settlement practices. The following practices are considered unfair claims settlement practices if committed so frequently that they represent an insurer's general business practice. Misrepresenting pertinent facts or policy provisions relating to coverages at issue. Failing to promptly acknowledge communications about claims. Failing to use reasonable standards to promptly investigate and settle claims. Refusing to pay claims without conducting a reasonable investigation. Failing to affirm or deny coverage of claims within a reasonable time after proof of loss statements have been completed. Failing to make a good faith effort to promptly and fairly settle claims for which the insurer is clearly liable. Forcing policyholders or claimants to file lawsuits to have a claim paid by offering substantially less than the amounts eventually recovered through the lawsuits or through settlements of the lawsuits. Attempting to settle claims for less than the amount a reasonable person would believe he or she was entitled to based on advertising materials. Attempting to settle claims based on an application that was altered by the insurer without the insured's knowledge. Making claim payments to insureds or beneficiaries without stating the coverage under which the payments were made. Making known to insureds or claimants a policy of appealing from arbitration awards to induce them to accept settlements or compromises less than the amount awarded in arbitration. Delaying the investigation or payment of claims by requiring submission of both a preliminary claim report and formal proof of loss form when both forms contain substantially the same information. Failing to promptly settle claims where liability has become reasonably clear under one portion of the policy in order to influence settlements under other portions of the policy. Failing to provide a reasonable explanation of the basis in the policy for denying a claim or offering a compromise settlement, and refusing to pay a claim for an arbitrary or capricious reason based on all available information. The Commissioner may impose a penalty of up to $2,500 for each violation. Complaint record. The Maryland Insurance Administration has the authority to investigate complaints about insurance companies, producers, and HMOs that are licensed to conduct business in Maryland. An insurer keeps a record of all complaints received since the date of its last examination. This record generally includes the total number of complaints, their classification by line of insurance, the nature of each complaint, the disposition of these complaints, the time it took to process each complaint. A dental plan organization also maintains records of all written complaints initiated by enrollees. Certificate of authority. An insurance company must have a certificate of authority to perform the following acts, which constitute the transaction of insurance: soliciting and inducing individuals to purchase insurance, engaging in preliminary negotiations for insurance, making an insurance contract, and transacting matters after a contract has been issued that are related to the policy. A company may not transact insurance business in Maryland or call itself an insurance business in Maryland unless the Commissioner issues it a certificate of authority. A person may not establish, operate, or administer a dental plan organization in Maryland unless the Commissioner issues it a certificate of authority. An HMO may not engage in business as an HMO unless it is so authorized under a certificate of authority issued by the Commissioner. For your review, a company may not transact insurance business in Maryland unless the Commissioner issues it a certificate of authority. Insurers are prohibited from engaging in unfair settlement practices when handling claims. The Commissioner may impose a fine up to $2,500 for each violation if an insurer engages in unfair settlement practices. Individual health insurance policy forms in Maryland must contain provisions on age limit, misstatement of age, time limit on certain defenses, and notice of claim. Long-term care policy forms in Maryland have specific requirements regarding the provision of LTC care. The Commissioner reviews the premium rates set by insurers to ensure that they are not excessive, inadequate, or unfairly discriminatory. Insurers and dental plan organizations maintain complaint records. The Maryland Insurance Administration has the authority to investigate complaints related to insurance business in Maryland.
Okay, so here is the quiz for this lesson, which is not considered unfair as claim settlement. Requiring the insured to submit a formal proof of loss form. Failure to acknowledge a request for claims form. Maybe. Making claim settlement without stating the coverage under which payments are made. Settling claims based on application that the agent altered without informing the insured. Alright, I'm going to say failure to acknowledge a request. Alright, which of the following is not an unfair settlement if committed by an insurance company in Maryland? Failure to deny coverage within a reasonable time. Failure or affirm to deny coverage within a reasonable time after completing a claim investigation. Appealing from an arbitration award in favor of the insured. Failure to promptly settle a claim for which liability is uncertain. Is not an unfair thing. I want to say acknowledging communications about a claim. How would you prove that? Alright, what is required before an insurance company may transaction business? Producer license? Or insurance license? I don't know. Let's see. Which of the following are required to have a certificate of authority before transacting insurance business in Maryland? I'm just guessing on this one. Alright, let's grade this quiz. We did really bad because we really weren't paying attention. Okay, so requiring the insured to submit a formal proof of loss form is not considered an unfair claim settlement practice. Submit a formal proof of law. Okay, so in your state, if you were watching this and you were going for another state, this may help you, but every state has its own laws. So, I'm planning on getting mine in Florida as well, so I'll have to retake the Florida part eventually. All right. So which of the following is not an unfair claim settlement practice? Failure to promptly settle a claim for which liability is uncertain is not considered unfair claim settlement. The liability is uncertain, so that is not considered unfair. All right, certificate of authority. I was way off on this one. An insurance company may not transact insurance business in Maryland unless it receives a certificate of authority from the commissioner. And this is an insurance company, not us. Not us that are going to become agents or producers. We do not need this. The insurance company need this. I wasn't reading that right. And I got this last one correct. A certificate of authority. All these insurance companies must have this from the commissioner. And that's the end of this lesson and the end of this video. Stay tuned for the next lesson. We will still be in Maryland, by the way. We will be on insurance trade practices next.